Sports world, buckle up, because Stephen A. Smith just unloaded on Colorado's two-way phenom Travis Hunter, and the fallout is echoing across talk shows and locker room conversations. What started as a debate about the impact of NIL money on college athletics quickly turned into a national story when Stephen A. shifted from abstract commentary to naming one of the sport's most visible young stars. That matters because Travis Hunter isn't a typical college player. He is a generational prospect whose decisions off the field influence how millions of people view the game. Hunter's story is unusual and instructive. He was the top-ranked recruit out of high school, a player every Power 5 program wanted. Instead of going the expected route, he committed to Jackson State to play for Deion Sanders, a decision that grabbed headlines and reshaped the recruiting narrative. Choosing an HBCU over powerhouse programs made him a cultural symbol as much as a football player. When Deion Sanders later accepted the head coaching job at Colorado and Hunter followed, it thrust him onto an even larger stage. On the field, Hunter is rare. He can lock down top receivers defensively and still be a game-breaking wideout on offense. That two-way ability, combined with a charismatic presence on social platforms, turned Hunter into a brand. NIL opened the door for student athletes to monetize their image, and Hunter walked right through it. Endorsement deals, merch collaborations, and appearance fees reportedly pushed his earnings into the 6- and 7-figure range before he reached draft age. That kind of money is life-changing, but it also puts a target on a young man who is still learning. In recent weeks, rumors and viral images began circulating. Photos of luxury cars, videos of private flights, and screenshots suggesting lavish shopping sprees. To be clear, these posts were not evidence of illegal activity, and many were unverified, but in the modern media ecosystem, perception often trumps proof. A single clip or screenshot can morph into a narrative. That narrative is where Stephen A. stepped in. Known for his passionate delivery and blunt assessments, Stephen A. used his platform to warn about the perils of sudden wealth for young athletes and then tied that warning to Hunter specifically. When the biggest voice in sports media names a player, the story accelerates. Deion Sanders' reaction added another layer. The coach defended his player and reminded callers and reporters that mentoring young athletes requires context and care. What followed was a predictable but potent cascade clips, reaction videos, and discussion threads that multiplied the story overnight. For a player still developing on and off the field, the scrutiny became immediate and relentless. Beyond the headlines, Hunter's life before college helps explain why so many people watch his every move. He excelled in high school, drawing national attention for his speed, instinct, and competitiveness. Recruiting analysts called him a blueprint for the modern athlete. Physical dominance plus marketability. When he chose Jackson State, it was more than a recruiting surprise, it was a cultural moment that sent a message about opportunity and loyalty. That backstory elevated expectations and brought a media appetite that never really sleeps. The sudden arrival of NIL dollars intensified that appetite. Deals with apparel, brands, and local and national sponsors created new revenue streams, and those contracts require negotiation, trust, and sometimes legal oversight. The average college athlete may not have a full team advising on taxes, contract clauses, or long-term investments. Without those supports, flashy purchases and lifestyle posts are often interpreted as recklessness rather than legitimate career moves. So when whispers about Hunter's spending emerged, some voices called for protection and privacy, while others demanded accountability and education. That division created fertile ground for Stephen A.'s message. In practical terms, the story is about more than gossip. It highlights how much responsibility is being placed on teenagers and young adults by a rapidly changing industry. It forces a larger conversation about how institutions should respond when their stars become brands almost overnight. Once the name is out there, everything else follows fast. Fans pick a side, creators remix the clip, and the debate moves from policy to personality. On a particular episode of First Take, the panel was exploring whether NIL funds help or hurt college football. But Stephen A. cut through the abstraction and delivered a targeted He argued that being the face of a program comes with responsibilities beyond touchdowns and interceptions. And then he named Travis Hunter as an example of a young player who might be underestimating the dangers of sudden income and fame. His delivery was unmistakable, blunt, and designed to provoke a response. The moment he mentioned Hunter's name, the segment became clip fodder. Within minutes, the exchange was edited into short-form videos, posted across platforms, and replayed on morning shows. Social media split into camps. One group praised Stephen A. for offering blunt, necessary advice. They framed his words as tough love designed to prevent a future disaster. The opposing camp accused him of public shaming and demanded evidence before any name-calling was aired. Those critical voices argued that a name drop on national TV based on gossip was unfair and potentially harmful. Meanwhile, media outlets and podcasts began to line up experts and guests. Financial advisors explained typical pitfalls for young earners, tax liabilities, predatory investment opportunities, and the need for long-term planning and trusted counsel. Sports psychologists discussed the mental strain of constant scrutiny and how fame can distort priorities. Former players weighed in too. Some supported Stephen A's warning as a wake-up call that might lead to institutional change, while others cautioned against equating flashy lifestyle posts with guaranteed financial mismanagement. Teammates and coaches offered a quieter counter-narrative instead of escalating publicly. Hunter's Circle posted images of practice, short clips of focused preparation, and statements emphasizing team unity and development. Deion Sanders reiterated that his role goes beyond coaching plays. It is about mentoring young men for life, and he warned that outside commentary often LAX full context. That response framed the issue as internal development rather than headline drama. On X and TikTok, creators remixed the footage into memes, debate clips, and side-by-side comparisons. Hashtags advocating for Hunter trended alongside tags supporting Stephen A, and every new clip fed the engagement machine. Brand teams began to monitor sentiment closely. Sponsors judge reputational risk and sometimes pause negotiations when a narrative is unsettled. For a college athlete, that kind of attention is double-edged: heightened profile and opportunity on one hand, added scrutiny and potential deal friction on the other. From a content creation angle, this dynamic gives creators a roadmap, open with on-field highlights, drop the Stephen A clip as the ignition, shows social reaction, and add an interview or expert snippet that educates viewers about how NIL deals should be managed. That structure stretches runtime and improves value by moving the conversation from rumor to resource. The key takeaway is that the debate landed where it often does, at the intersection of individual choices and institutional responsibility. This whole episode is a reminder that the structure around athletes has not fully caught up with the reality of instant monetization. When players become brands in high school or early in college, the institutions that support them must evolve. That could mean mandatory financial workshops, routine access to licensed advisors, standard contract reviews, and integrated public relations training so players understand how statements and images affect partnerships and reputations. These supports are both preventative and practical. They allow athletes to monetize while preserving long-term stability. Media figures also play a meaningful role. Commentators who call out risky behavior can help by pairing critique with concrete resources, inviting financial planners, accountants, and ethical advisors onto the air to explain how athletes should protect themselves. When critique is coupled with solutions, it becomes less about shaming and more about building. For Travis Hunter personally, a smart play is clarity. Whether he posts a short video explaining his priorities, highlights the advisors he works with, or simply allows his on-field excellence to define him, taking control of the narrative reduces the space for rumor. For Deion Sanders and the Colorado staff, continued public affirmation that players are supported, while privately strengthening financial and PR education, will matter more over the long run than any single soundbite. Stephen A. and other media figures also have choices. They can double down and frame critique as public service by bringing experts into the conversation, or they can temper callouts and push for systemic changes rather than naming individuals when evidence is thin. Both responses will shape public opinion and institutional behavior. Practically, for creators, this story provides production-friendly elements that add runtime without filler, highlight packages to set context, the Stephen A. clip as a trigger, curated social posts showing the spectrum of reaction, and a short expert explanation so viewers leave informed, not just entertained. Sponsors and brands are watching too. Controversy complicates negotiations and can delay deals while companies assess reputational risk, so the stakes extend beyond headlines to actual income streams. The bottom line is simple: the Stephen A. versus the Travis Hunter moment, which is less a final judgment and more a symptom of a sport in rapid transition. The best outcome would be renewed pressure on universities and media to equip athletes with the tools they need, and for commentators to pair warnings with practical guidance. Now I want to hear from you. Are you Team Stephen A. or Team Hunter? Drop a short reason in the comments, like the video if you want follow-ups, and subscribe so you don't miss updates. I'll be tracking coach responses, any statements from Hunter's camp, and how sponsors react so we can break down the next chapter together.